All right, so now we are at the tippy top of the pyramid, the intensive intervention piece of it all. And we've been talking a little bit about what you want to do. You want to focus more on data collection, and just what aspect, or do you want to explain anything more about what kind of data collection?
What do you mean, like how to collect data, or like?
Like if you just want a new system of collecting data?
That would be cool.
Okay. So maybe just a simplified system to collect data over time on certain behaviors. All right, so the steps to developing a behavior support plan. So we build a behavior support team, which is kind of already in place in the agency. Person-centered planning and goal setting. And so that's what we've been talking about lately is Joey.
Okay.
Just having him at the center of your planning and setting the goal, like what exactly do you want him to be doing instead of what do you not want him to be doing.
Okay.
And then the functional behavior assessment, which is what I presented to you last time we spoke. And we don't need to go through this completely because you've already been talking a lot about the pieces on it. This is just to be identifying exactly what times of day, which you've talked about child-directed times, so free choice. So in the times of day, are there specific activities when challenging behavior is most likely to occur? Like specific activities I know you talked about in certain centers.
Yeah, certain centers, so block area and housekeeping are huge. Those centers.
Yeah, which is really common because there's so much room for conflict. And so
those common areas, like everybody want to be in there, and everybody,
yeah, they fill up fast, so there's more people. Are there other children or adults who it's more likely Joey will have challenging behavior? Just anybody?
I think it's anybody right now, yeah.
Okay. So that's just kind of the prevention piece, which we've looked at this before, just identifying when it's more likely to take place, and then teaching, which you've also talked about. You feel like he's young and doesn't have the skills, the play skills. Is that the main thing that you think is why he hits his peers?
I think so, yeah. Not somebody not showing him the proper way to those friendship skills.
Sweet.
Proper way to play, yep.
And we'll look more into that. And then just the reinforcement. So just what's happening when he hits. Does he get sent to timeout? Does he get calming? Just the consequences of all of that. So we've looked at that, and it seems like you've developed a hypothesis, which is what the functional behavior assessment is supposed to lead to. So your hypothesis is that he doesn't have the play skills and he wants the attention from his peers. Is that okay? And then we'll move on to behavior support plan development and monitoring outcomes, which is really what we're going to be focusing on because you want to just learn an easier way to collect data.
Right.
So the FBA, it's the central feature of the support plan. It's just the process for gathering information about behavior in the environment, the environmental conditions that predict it. And then the goal of this is just to improve the success of the behavior support plan.
Okay.
So the process of it, we've talked about, just observe the child and target routines and collect data, looking for situations that predict the challenging behavior. So in every communicative behavior can be described by the form and function. So the form is the behavior, so the pushing. And the function is always to either get or obtain, like an object or attention, or to get away or escape. Maybe maybe somebody doesn't like cleaning up, and so they participate in challenging behavior so that they don't have to. And so forms of communication, the most obvious one is words. Other forms are to point to a picture, eye gaze, pulling adult or physically getting their attention, crying, biting, tantrums. So in this case, what is his form of communication? Hitting.
Yeah. Probably. Okay.
And does he like take toys from?
He does too. Yeah. He takes toys from his friends. Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Well, that's good to know because it could be the object he's trying to get, or it could be the attention he's trying to get. It could be all of those things that you've been talking about. So, and this isn't all about data collection. This is just focusing on being able to observe the behavior better. So the antecedent, do you see what his trigger is? Do you ever see like a change in the physical surroundings or behavior of others?
Not yet, no. I haven't figured that out yet, no. What triggers it? No.
Okay. So we can focus on just putting more attention towards that too. So this is the ABC. So this is the trigger and then the behavior, which is, like you've been saying, pushing or just taking toys. And then the consequence. What are his usual consequences after he hits or takes a toy away?
When he takes a toy away, we make him give the toy back. And then sometimes when he hits and doesn't stop hitting, we make him go to a different area.
Okay. So the immediate consequence, it might be the adult attention that he's also getting out of it.
Okay.
Like when he pushes, somebody comes over, and because you have to for the safety of others, so that may be it. Or the consequence may be the attention of his peers. Maybe they don't pay attention to him until he does that. All right, so the process of data collection, the team identifies the data to collect. So based on goals identified by team. So what is your main goal, the behavior that you want to see him engaging in?
What do you mean?
Instead of hitting to get a friend's attention.
Using his words.
Okay.
Get his friend's attention, or coming up probably. Might be. He's kind of young for that. I think the main thing is using his words because he won't use his words. He has them. He talks really well, but just don't use. He just doesn't use his words.
Mm-hmm.
He just takes it and that's it.
Okay, so that's a huge thing. Just teaching him, like we did in the first circuit, starting there, giving him those words because maybe he doesn't have them in those situations.
That's true. Okay.
So you identify the goal, what you want him to be doing. The data collection needs to be easy for you guys to collect.
Okay.
And so we'll move into a system, the behavior rating scale, that makes it really easy. So each day you just focus on one routine, which can be centers because that seems to be the most challenging one. And then we'll set up like a 5 for the challenging behavior, maybe hitting multiple peers.
Okay.
And then going down, 4 is just hitting 1, maybe. We'll come up with this in a minute. But so when we collect data, we get a better understanding of when it happens, what triggers it, and what it's communicating. And then we can alter the environment and focus more on what we should be intentionally teaching once we understand all of those pieces of it.
Okay.
So like last year, and you knew Jean. So once we started collecting data on her, we realized that her challenging behavior was way more likely to occur when mom dropped her off. And so just that environmental piece of it, we realized that if mom was dropping her off, we needed to be more prepared, we needed to have more things in place. When dad dropped her off, it wasn't as big of a deal. So that's just an example of how it can be useful once you realize what all is contributing to it. All right, so this is what I was just talking about, the behavior rating scale. It's just a really easy way to collect data and see any trends over time. So we won't fill in the date just yet since he didn't come today. but we can get it started. Well, I guess we won't be able to get it started until we start modeling, but we can at least be looking at it and setting up what we want the behavior rating scale to look like.
Okay.
So the target behaviors, so we want less of him hitting peers, and we want more of using his words.
Right.
So according to this, and these are the dimensions of the behavior that we can measure: the frequency, how often it happens, the duration. That doesn't really apply to this one, but the intensity, like if it's a playful push or if it's like a knockout, how often it happens, the percentage of time, like does it happen 80% of the time during the day, and the percentage of opportunity. So opportunity for him to be practicing these skills of using his words.
Okay.
So this is an example of a behavior rating scale. And this could have been, just to make it more relatable to you, for River, like you wanted him to be engaged more. So this is the behavior you want, and this is the behavior you don't want.
Okay.
Not responding at all. So this is just an example. So 5 would be the best, looks independently. 4 would be the next, looks with a prompt. So like, look at your teacher, an adult prompt. 3 is looks with physical assistance, so maybe like actually physically moving him. 2 does not look or answer. 1 walks away. Stop this.